implementation of how germ warfare or biological warfare would be carried out. There's a number of specific ways that you would execute that kind of strategy. So first of all, wherever you create the germ itself, you would most likely not create that on your own territory. So if we were experimenting with biological weapons, we would not put that lab in the United States, because you immediately risk what we saw happen
just
with
on
COVID.
risk assessment, yeah.
So we take that to some third world country, dude. Let's go to Ecuador. Let's go to Peru. Let's go to the Bahamas. The Bahamas are great because it's an island, right? Let's go some third world country where we can very easily and spend a bunch of money, and people are going to look the other way. And that's where you create your lab.
That makes sense.
And that's where you start tinkering and experimenting. And when shit goes wrong, people in the Bahamas get sick, not people in Nashville, Tennessee.
Exactly. That definitely makes sense. Let me ask you about Trump a little bit. How do you think the CIA views someone like him?
So I know that the CIA did not view Trump well.
Right.
We all know that. And that was for lots of reasons. Now, one of the things that's really difficult is, whether we want to admit it or not, Donald Trump's presidency was the closest presidency that we've seen since probably Gerald Ford that matched what the founding fathers wanted for our country. Because what they wanted were career business professionals to step out of their profession and become a public servant for 1 to 2 tours. They did not want career politicians. And what we've seen for the entirety of our lifetimes is professional politicians.
Right.
That's why you see the Kennedy family, the Clinton family, the Bush family.
Right.
So unfortunately, what we saw all around Trump was this harken back to what our founding fathers originally wanted. Now, I don't think that they wanted someone specifically like Donald Trump, but what we did see was the power of enterprise and the power of corporate recognition to generate support from the population, right? And a lot of people voted Trump just because they've heard the name 1,000 times. So that's important. Now, the CIA is used to working, because the CIA serves as under the executive branch.
Right.
And there's 3 branches of government.
It's important to understand how they even are intertwined with the president.
Correct. So CIA doesn't serve the legislative branch. They're not doing what Congress and the Senate say. They don't serve the judicial branch. They're not doing what the courts say. They serve the executive branch, which means CIA is built and designed to serve one office, the office of the president. So when Donald Trump took over and he was shrouded in conspiracy and suspicion about his connections to Russia, the same organization that's charged with spying on Russia and discovering whether or not there's a tie to Russia, like whether there's a threat from Russia to the United States, is CIA, who works for Donald Trump. So when CIA said anything about Donald Trump being compromised to Russia, that's immediately causing conflict with essentially their primary client.
That's what I was going to ask. How do they respond to allegations of him being compromised?
So what ended up happening is CIA got themselves in this very sticky situation where they're investigating it and trying to communicate the ways that he was connected and the ways that Russia's trying to influence us, at the same time that the president was trying to tell the CIA, I don't want to hear this, right? Like, I'm my own man. Maybe that's what they're doing, but stop trying to make me look bad. And the outcome of that, the fallout from that, is what we saw during that Trump administration, where he just stopped listening to CIA. He stopped listening. He stopped caring. He stopped sending money that way.
I know they was upset with that. Like,
absolutely.
What are we doing?
Yep. And this is another thing that's unfortunate but still true. Not unfortunate, but it's uncomfortable but still true. When the government can't do something effectively, commercial enterprise steps in. So from 2016 to 2020, during the Trump administration, he did not fund or rely on CIA. He relied on the commercial business sector instead to start collecting intelligence. And that led to the rise of private intelligence, your groups like Blackwater, et cetera.
I remember that, yes.
So now what ended up happening is the United States was collecting more intelligence, executing more operations, having more of an intelligence impact around the world, because they were using commercial institutions instead of federal institutions. We don't go into space right now with NASA. We go into
SpaceX,
a commercial enterprise, right? Because what happens is when you take things away from the government and you put it into commercial enterprise, businessmen find a way to do it
Get better.
better,
Yeah.
faster, cheaper.
Yes, it's a lot of bureaucracy in that government stuff.
So from 2016 to 2020, the private intelligence world grew. And then when Biden took power in 2020, now all of a sudden he was in this awkward position where he has a thriving private intelligence industry. I work in the private intelligence industry, right? Here's this private intelligence industry keeping wealthy people safe, keeping wealthy celebrities safe, teaching them how to do everything from protect their digital stance to, when and where they can go on tour and have the best chances for high revenue and low risk, right? This whole industry emerged because of Donald Trump. And now Biden was stuck in this position where he couldn't just shut that industry down because it's benefiting GDP. But at the same time, he had to start rebuilding that relationship with CIA. And the reason that private intelligence industry grew so quickly was because guess what the CIA employees were doing from 2016 to 2020?
Going to the private sector. Yeah.
Because they didn't like working for Donald Trump.
So, wow. So with Trump being in that position and CIA being all information and intelligence, how do they negotiate with someone who they don't have more power than?
Yeah, man, it's Wallow 267. You're now tuned into It's Up There podcast, man, with my man Loon, man. Check him out.
What's going on? It's your boy Big Loon. Right now, if you looked at this clip and you enjoyed it, hit subscribe. Watch the next video. We on the road to 100K subscribers on YouTube. If you're a fan, come to Patreon. We got exclusive videos there, and also the show with just me alone. Salute to the supporters. Verify your customers and know who's your viewers. It's Up There podcast. Let's get it. Yo, what up? This Big Loon. This is It's Up There podcast.